Some of the most uncomfortable childhood moments don't come from bullies or villains. They come from regular kids who just don't understand what's happening. One weird rumor, one scary misunderstanding, or one moment that feels different can completely change the way someone gets treated overnight. That's what makes this episode of Arthur so interesting. The episode opens with Arthur and Buster playing one of their usual imagination games. They pretend they're hunting a made-up creature called the dangerous snig while crawling through the grass with butterfly nets. The boys describe the creature as something scary that hides in with the trees and makes a loud aroo sound, but almost right away, the game gets interrupted by DW. She joins in by pretending to be the snig, wearing fake antlers and making the sound herself. Arthur and Buster quickly get annoyed because in their minds, she is ruining the game. They explain that the snig is supposed to blend in and be hard to find. This scene already tells us a lot about the relationship between these characters. Arthur and Buster want control over the game and the rules, while DW just wants to be included, but instead of really letting her play, they mostly treat her like she's doing everything wrong. Trying to fit in, DW decides to camouflage herself by putting leaves on her clothes. It's actually kind of sad and funny at the same time because she clearly wants their approval. She even complains that she always has to play the snig and never gets to switch roles with them. And then the scene suddenly turns chaotic. When Arthur and Buster go looking for her again, DW jumps out wearing poison ivy without realizing what it is. The boys instantly panic and run away screaming while DW chases after them, confused about why the game suddenly changed. What makes this opening work so well is how realistic it feels. It captures the way younger siblings often get left out of older kids' games without fully understanding why. DW thinks she's finally playing correctly, but Arthur and Buster only focus on the disaster she accidentally caused. It's also a smart setup for the rest of the episode. Even though this moment is played for laughs, it introduces a bigger idea. Kids don't always understand danger until it affects them personally.
Shh! We're hunting the dangerous snig.
It has big horns, and it makes a terrifying sound like this. Aroo!
And it's really hard to find because it blends in with the trees.
Aroo! Aroo! I hear it! I hear it! This way! Aroo! 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 Aroo!
DW, you're not camouflaged at all. It's supposed to be hard to see you.
And the aroo has to be much scarier, like this. Aroo!
Okay. Why do I always have to be the snig? Why can't one of them be the snig for a change? There, that should do it.
Once again, we're hunting the dangerous snig.
It has big horns and...
They know that, Buster.
I hear it! Let's go! Roar! Oh no!
DW, you're wearing...
Poison ivy? I thought we were playing dangerous snig. Arthur, you can't keep changing games. Wait up!
Later that night, the episode slows down and shows the consequences of what happened in the park. DW is now covered in itchy red spots from the poison ivy, while her mom puts calamine lotion on her skin to help with the itching. But the important part of the scene is not really the poison ivy itself, it's DW's reaction to it. When she looks at herself in the mirror, she becomes embarrassed and worried that everyone will run away from her. Arthur tries to comfort her by saying that people won't avoid her, but DW quickly reminds him that he and Buster already did earlier. That line is simple, but it hits harder than the show plays it. From DW's perspective, the boys didn't just run from poison ivy, they ran from her. It's one of those small moments that feels very real to childhood. Kids often take things personally, especially when they already feel left out. DW doesn't fully understand the situation scientifically. She just remembers the emotional part, her brother screaming and running away from her. The episode also suddenly shifts Arthur into a new role here. His mom decides that he should help distract DW so she won't scratch the rash, and Arthur clearly looks surprised by this responsibility. That reaction matters because it shows the difference between how kids and adults see family responsibility. Arthur sees DW as annoying most of the time, but his parents expect him to help take care of her anyway. It's a very normal older sibling situation, and the episode captures that feeling without making Arthur seem completely mean.
It itches!
This calamine lotion will help, honey.
Look at me. Everyone's gonna run away from me.
No, they won't, DW.
You and Buster did.
It'll go away, DW. The important thing is not to scratch. Arthur will help distract you.
I will?
The next morning, the episode keeps building on DW's insecurity in a way that's both funny and surprisingly sad. She decides to wear Arthur's hockey mask and oven mitts so nobody can see her poisoned ivy rash. When Arthur asks why she's wearing the mask, DW explains that if people can't see her, they won't run away from her anymore. That line says a lot about how deeply the earlier moment affected her. Even though the poison ivy is temporary, DW already feels ashamed of how she looks. The episode understands something very true about kids. Embarrassment can feel huge, even over something adults see as minor. Now at the sugar bowl, Buster immediately notices something strange about DW and why is she wearing a hockey mask indoors. DW tries to act tough and defensive when he questions it, which feels realistic for a kid trying to hide insecurity behind attitude. Arthur explains the situation to Buster and says he's supposed to help DW feel better, and this is where the episode makes a really smart transition. Instead of laughing at DW, Buster suddenly remembers a time when he felt scared and different because of a health problem. The episode flashes back to a rainy afternoon in the treehouse where Arthur and Buster are reading old joke books together. At first, the scene feels cozy and normal. They laugh at dumb jokes, mess around, and act like typical kids. But in the background, Buster keeps coughing more and more. At first, neither of them takes it seriously. It just seems like a normal cough. But then, the tone suddenly changes when Buster starts struggling to breathe. And this is where the episode quietly becomes much heavier than you expect from a normal episode of Arthur. The reason this moment works is because it captures how fast a child's world can change. 1 second, the boys are laughing at terrible jokes. The next, Buster can barely breathe. That sudden shift makes the scene feel genuinely scary, especially for younger viewers who may have experienced a medical emergency.
DW, do you have to wear my hockey mask?
If people can't see me, they won't run away.
Hi, Arthur. Hi, DW.
I'm not DW, I'm Otis.
Why do you have a hockey mask on? Otis?
I don't want to get hit in the face with a puck. You got a problem with that?
She's got poison ivy, and she thinks people will run away from her. I'm supposed to make her feel better.
Oh. Hey, Arthur, remember back in the fall when I had that really bad cough?
What cough?
You know, the cough that started everything?
Check out these old joke books I found in the basement.
Hey, what did the banana say to the hippo?
What?
Nothing. Bananas don't talk.
Buster, are you okay?
Having trouble breathing.
Back in the present, Buster tries to explain what the asthma attack felt like. He says breathing became so hard that it felt like trying to breathe through a clogged straw. The episode smartly uses a simple example kids can understand. DW first thinks breathing through a straw sounds easy, so Buster demonstrates by drinking her milkshake and explaining that the straw would feel impossible to breathe through once it was filled up. It's a funny scene, but it also shows the episode trying to teach young viewers what asthma actually feels like in a non-scary way. Instead of using complicated medical language, the show turns it into something visual and easy to imagine. Arthur then remembers how serious the situation became after Buster left for the doctor's office, and this is where the flashback reveals something important about Arthur's character. Arthur becomes completely convinced that the asthma attack was his fault because he showed Buster the old dusty joke books. He starts panicking and blaming himself, even though his dad tries to explain that it wasn't really his doing. That reaction feels very realistic for a kid. Children often connect random events together and assume they cause problems they don't fully understand. Arthur sees the dust, sees Buster get sick afterward, and immediately jumps to guilt. Meanwhile, the doctor explains that dust and mold triggered Buster's asthma. She reassures him that with medicine, he can still do the things he loves, and this part of the episode is important because it avoids turning asthma into something hopeless or tragic. The show treats it seriously, but it also makes it clear that asthma does not stop Buster from being himself. But even though Buster stays calm about it, Arthur reacts in the exact opposite way.
I didn't know what was wrong with me. It felt like I was trying to breathe through a straw.
So, I can breathe through a straw.
A straw that's clogged. Allow me to demonstrate. See? You can imagine how hard it is to breathe through a straw full of milkshake.
No, I can't. I don't have any milkshake left.
I remember that day. Your mom came and took you to the doctor's right away. This is all my fault.
How could it be your fault?
It's because I showed him those dirty books. That's what made him sick. I just know it.
The dust and mold from the old joke book made it hard for you to breathe because you have asthma.
Asthma? Does this mean I can't read books anymore? Or tell jokes? Or laugh?
Don't worry, Buster. If you take your medicine, you can do all the things you like.
It didn't seem like such a big deal. To me.
Back at school, Arthur becomes overly protective almost immediately. He starts acting like Buster is extremely fragile, cleaning his books for him and worrying that even a tiny bit of dust could cause another attack. Francine also acts nervous around him, almost treating asthma like something dangerous or contagious. This is one of the smartest parts of the episode because it shows a very common problem. Sometimes people react to medical conditions with fear instead of understanding. Arthur means well, but he stops treating Buster normally. Instead of seeing him as his best friend, he starts seeing him as someone who could break at any second. And you can already tell Buster feels uncomfortable about it. He doesn't want to be treated like a completely different person just because he has asthma.
If he gets even one little bit of dust up his nose, he can't breathe. It could happen any time.
Is asthma contagious? Shh, there he is.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Buster. Here, let me take those for you. There you go, buddy. All clean now.
Thanks.
Has anyone seen my penicillin? Penicillin pen?
So, Buster, if your asthma goes off, do you get to leave class?
Maybe. Just to get my medicine.
Just to get your medicine? I bet that could take a long time.
As the flashback continues, the episode starts showing how rumors and misunderstandings spread among kids. When Buster leaves to visit the nurse's office, the others immediately start guessing what's happening to him. Francine wonders if he might get sent to a special school for sick kids, while Binky thinks Buster is just pretending so he can skip class early. That conversation may sound exaggerated, but it feels very believable for elementary school kids. None of them fully understand asthma yet, so their imaginations fill in the blanks. The episode does a good job showing how children often respond to medical issues with confusion, jokes, or wild assumptions instead of facts. Then the misunderstanding gets even worse when they spy on Buster using his inhaler. Binky mistakes it for a kazoo and assumes Buster is faking the whole thing. What's interesting is that the show never makes the kids seem evil. They're immature and uninformed, but they're acting the way a lot of real kids probably would at that age. The episode is less about cruelty and more about ignorance. Arthur, meanwhile, keeps becoming more protective in ways that are honestly a little uncomfortable. In the cafeteria, he literally blows powdered sugar off Buster's donut before letting him eat it because he's scared the dust could hurt him. Again, Arthur means well, but his fear is starting to take over his behavior. He's treating Buster less like a normal friend and more like someone who constantly needs supervision. Then recess gives us one of the funniest scenes in the episode. Binky dramatically pretends to have plasma instead of asthma, collapsing to the ground and gasping for air. Buster immediately corrects him, clearly annoyed, while Binky awkwardly blames the word itself for sounding confusing. The humor works because it shows how little the kids actually understand the condition. But underneath the joke, you can tell Buster is getting tired of being treated differently or turned into the center of attention. That feeling becomes even clearer when Arthur, Francine, and Binky secretly spy on him using his inhaler in the nurse's office. The moment Buster catches them, the three kids literally fall into the room trying to cover up what they were doing. And honestly, this is probably one of the most realistic childhood moments in the whole episode. Kids are curious about things they don't understand, especially medical conditions, but instead of simply asking questions directly, they whisper, stare, and spy. Buster notices all of it. Even though his friends think they're helping or just being curious, they're making him feel separated from everyone else.
I'll see you guys in the cafeteria. I have to go to the nurse's office.
Why does he have to go there?
Maybe they're gonna move him to a special school for sick kids.
He's probably faking it to go home early. See? I knew he was faking it. He's just playing the kazoo.
That's his inhaler. He's taking medicine to help him breathe.
Whoa! What are you guys doing here?
You found my glasses! We were just looking for them. Whoa, now we can all go to lunch. Watch out, Buster! Here you go. It's safe now.
Can't breathe. Tell the nurse I think I have plasma.
Don't you mean asthma, Binky?
Stupid word, too many consonants all smushed together.
The baseball scene is where the episode really shows how isolated Buster has started to feel. During the game, Buster gets a good hit and runs toward the base, but Francine suddenly drops the ball instead of tagging him out. At first, she claims it was an accident, but Buster can tell she was afraid to touch him. What makes the moment interesting is that the show briefly lets us see things from Francine's point of view. In her imagination, Buster's breath almost looks dangerous, like he could spread germs just by breathing near her. That small visual tells us everything. Even though nobody fully understands asthma, fear has completely taken over their thinking. And for Buster, this is the moment where it becomes emotionally painful. Earlier, the jokes and awkwardness were annoying, but now his friends are physically avoiding him. He realizes they no longer see him as normal. The next scene quietly reinforces that feeling. While the other kids continue happily playing baseball outside, Buster is stuck inside the nurse's office getting another inhaler. The image is simple, but it says a lot without dialogue. The other kids are outside together having fun, while Buster is separated from the group.
Why did you do that? You had me out.
It was an accident.
No, it wasn't. I saw you drop the ball on purpose. What's wrong, Francine? Are you okay?
Stay away! Stay away! Ow! Gotcha!
After that, the episode reaches an important turning point. Buster suddenly announces that he's cured. He tries to prove he no longer has asthma by dramatically smelling a dusty math book and pretending everything is fine. But it becomes obvious pretty quickly that he's not actually cured. He just wants everyone to stop treating him differently. That's what makes this part of the episode surprisingly mature. It understands that sometimes people hide medical problems, not because they feel healthy, but because they're tired of feeling excluded or pitied. And sadly, his friends accidentally prove his point almost immediately. Francine admits she's relieved because now she doesn't have to worry about catching asthma anymore. That line hurts because it shows Buster's friends still do not understand his condition at all. Even after everything, they still treat asthma more like a contagious disease than a medical condition. You can tell the comment bothers Buster too. He doesn't argue or get angry. He just goes quiet. Then the final scene in this section subtly confirms that Buster was lying about being cured. When the group walks past the nurse's office, Buster stops after spotting the inhaler inside. For a second, he hesitates, but instead of admitting he still needs help, he quickly follows the others to lunch. It's a small moment, but it says a lot about childhood embarrassment. Buster would rather hide his condition than risk being treated like an outsider again.
Guess what? I'm cured.
Really? Are you sure?
Sure, I'm sure. Could I do this if I had asthma? Math.
But that's not an old book.
Yeah, but it must have some dust in it. I've never opened it.
So you don't have to use that kazoo anymore?
Nope.
Well, I'm glad that's over. Now I don't have to worry about catching asthma.
What is it, Buster?
It's Boston cream pie today. If we don't hurry, it'll all be gone.
Yeah, pie. Let's get that pie.
The hockey scene is where Buster finally reaches his breaking point. At first, everything seems normal. The kids are outside playing street hockey with brooms and a soccer ball, yelling and having fun like always. Buster even scores a point and tries to celebrate with everyone else, but then the dust in the air starts affecting his asthma almost immediately. Buster begins coughing and struggling to breathe, yet he still tries to pretend nothing is wrong. Even while gasping for air, he insists he's fine and says he only needs some water. Arthur notices right away that something is seriously wrong and wants to get the nurse, but Buster refuses help. And this moment says a lot about how embarrassed Buster has become. Earlier in the episode, his friends treated him differently because of his asthma. Arthur acted overly protective, Francine became nervous around him, and Binky kept joking about it. None of them meant to hurt him, but together they made Buster feel separated from everyone else. So now, instead of asking for help, Buster tries to hide the problem completely. The episode quietly shows how dangerous that mindset can become. Buster is so worried about being seen as different that he would rather struggle in silence than let people know he still needs his inhaler. Eventually though, he ends up back in the nurse's office using it anyway, and for the first time, Buster finally explains what's really bothering him. He admits that he skipped his appointment because he didn't want his friends seeing him take medicine again. In his mind, the inhaler had become the reason everyone started acting weird around him. The nurse responds in a calm but important way. She suggests that maybe his friends are not trying to be mean, they just don't understand asthma yet. And that line really gets to the heart of the episode. The problem was never that Buster had asthma. The problem was how everyone reacted to it.
Buster? Maybe I should go get the nurse.
I'm fine. Just need a glass of water. That's all. That's much better.
It's important to take your medicine, Buster. Why'd you skip your appointment?
I don't know. I didn't want my friends to know about it. They've been treating me really weird.
Do you think maybe they just don't understand?
Maybe that's it.
This is the moment where the episode stops being just about misunderstandings and starts teaching the audience what asthma actually feels like. After a normal classroom science presentation, Buster gives his report in a much more unusual way. Instead of simply listing facts, he asks the class to imagine becoming tiny enough to travel inside his lungs. At first, the other kids are confused, but they play along, and suddenly the episode shifts into one of its most creative fantasy sequences. The classroom transforms into a guided tour through Buster's airways, turning something invisible into something the audience can actually visualize. As Buster explains how dust and mold affect his asthma, the environment around the class begins changing. The airways tighten, the space becomes more chaotic, and even breathing starts to feel difficult. Instead of just telling viewers that asthma makes breathing hard, the episode shows what that experience feels like from Buster's perspective, and that's the moment everything finally clicks for the other kids. Once they understand what he's actually going through, he stops seeming fragile or contagious and starts feeling normal again. When Francine asks if asthma is contagious, Buster calmly explains that it isn't. He's still the same person he always was. Asthma is simply something he has, not something that defines him. That's really the core message of the episode. Understanding removes fear, and once the kids finally understand what Buster is going through, they stop treating him like an outsider and start treating him normally again.
My science report is about asthma. But first, I need you to imagine that you're very, very small. You're not imagining it. I really want you to imagine it. Very good. Now I want you all up my nose on the double. Watch your step. No flash photography, please.
I don't think I've ever been in anyone's lungs before.
Help! I'm stuck in some pie!
Oh no! George went down the wrong way! He's in my stomach!
Yeah, custard pie.
Stick with the group, George. You could get lost in here.
Is this where the asthma is? Is it a giant bug that'll attack us?
No. Asthma's just a word for what happens to my lungs when I breathe in dust or mold. Like this. See? The walls are getting smaller. This is when I usually start to cough. Hold on.
Boy, he sure is a good storyteller. That felt so real.
And asthma is not contagious. Any questions?
Are you trying to tell us something?
Yeah, I'm still the same old Buster. I just have asthma. Like I have big ears.
Same old Buster Big Ears? Oh, I'm gonna ace this test.
The episode then returns to the present at the Sugar Bowl, where everything comes back to normal after Buster's explanation about asthma. Buster calmly reflects that once people understood what was happening, they stopped treating him like he was different. In his view, the fear came from not knowing, and understanding fits most of the problem. DW takes that idea and immediately applies it to her own situation with Poison Ivy. She realizes that maybe people were scared of her for the same reason. They simply didn't understand what it was, so she removes her mask and reveals that she's actually DW again, not Otis. It's a small but important moment because it shows she's ready to stop hiding once she feels confident explaining herself. But just like with Buster earlier in the episode, understanding doesn't immediately stop the reactions of other kids. The Tibble twins see DW's rash and instantly panic, assuming it's something like chickenpox, even though she tries to explain that it's just poison ivy and not dangerous. They completely freak out and run away from her. What's interesting here is how the situation mirrors what just happened with Buster. DW now understands her condition, but the other kids don't. So even though she tries to educate them, they still respond with fear and avoidance. Instead of getting upset, DW reacts in a very familiar way. She chases after them, trying to explain everything in detail, insisting it's not contagious and that it will go away soon. This final moment brings the episode's main idea full circle. The show isn't just saying that explanations fix everything instantly. It's showing that understanding has to go both ways. Buster's asthma stopped being a problem socially once his friends learned about it, but DW's situation shows that confusion can still spread when people don't listen or fully process the information.
Once they understood it, it wasn't such a big deal anymore.
Hey, I bet if someone's afraid of my poison ivy, I should just explain it.
Hey, you're not Otis. You're DW.
Sorry I had to fool you.
Look, Tommy, DW's got the chicken boxes.
No, I don't. It's just poison ivy. It's no big deal.
Don't come any closer. We'll catch it.
No, you won't. I'll tell you all about it. Then you'll understand.
No!
Come back here and let me make you smarter. I got it from a plant, and it'll be gone in a couple of days. And the white stuff's called calamine lotion. Hey, wait up, there's more.
Nobody in the story is trying to hurt Buster on purpose. Arthur becomes overprotective because he cares. Francine avoids him because she's scared and confused. Binky jokes about asthma because he doesn't understand it. The real problem is ignorance, not cruelty. And that's what makes this episode of Arthur stand out. It turns a simple medical lesson into a story about isolation, embarrassment, and empathy. Once the kids finally understand what Buster is experiencing, the fear starts disappearing. Tell me what you think of this episode in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe